do we have here? We have the new Ford Puma. Now, it isn't the sporty coupe that we all remember in the early 2000s. No, actually, this car is a crossover SUV. Yes, another one, unfortunately. And this is meant to rival the likes of the new Nissan Juke and the new Volkswagen T-Cross, neither of which interest me an awful lot. But what does interest me is the fact that Ford had the cheek to give us another SUV, especially calling it a Puma. Now, Ford's recipe for the everyday working hero's car, like the Fiesta, the Focus and the Mondeo, God rest its soul, they set that perfect because, as the records show, they are some of the best UK selling cars ever. But on the other hand, in the SUV range, Ford, their track record is a bit iffy. And for example, we have the EcoSport, which not only was woeful, it was ugly. Oh my God, what an ugly thing. And of course, they still sell it today. And once Ford announced that they'll be selling this Puma as an SUV, I kind of thought, well, why don't they just get rid of the EcoSport? It makes sense, which they haven't. And of course, both these cars are based on a Fiesta. So I'm not too sure what they're trying to get at here. And then of course we've got the Edge, which, as the name suggests, should be driven off an edge. That's it, that's all that can be said on that. And lastly, we have the Cougar. And the Cougar, believe it or not, is actually a really nice car. And of course, they've just brought out the new generation of it. You may be thinking, well, Chris, what are you doing? Is the review finished already? No, it hasn't, because I have to give this car the benefit of the doubt. Yes, it is based on the Fiesta, but of course, this is going to sell numbers just because it is an SUV. Not only is it good looking, people can argue on that. Yeah, I have to do my job and review the car. So without further ado, let's get on and get reviewing. Now, let's get started with the exterior. And it gets off to a good start because the Puma is actually a pretty good looking car. Well, arguably from the back only. Now, with the ST line trim, which this car is spec'd in, you get a lot more aggressive, sporty look. Of course, it's finished off with this lovely rear sculpted spoiler. And Ford haven't been too shy to let everyone know that this is a Puma, where it's blended in nicely a black Puma badge with this grey matte paintwork. Now, this paintwork is actually an optional extra of £750. Yes, but I quite like the colour, and it actually makes the Puma look a little bit more aggressive, if you ask me. Coming down the side of the car, you start to realise that the Ford Puma isn't as SUV-like as it seems. Yes, and that is all because of this sloping rear roof section. Now, although it looks pretty cool, and the styling aspect is absolutely on point, it doesn't really make for great practicality in the back, and that isn't even me sitting in the car yet. But Ford have managed to sport it up a little bit more with these 18-inch optional alloys and of course sport suspension to try and bring back that SUV likeness. However, the front is a complete insult if you ask me. Not only has the Puma name been mocked, look at the front grille. It's just giving you a gulping smile like it's taking its first ever school photo. And what makes it even worse is that Ford apparently have designed these lights to reminisce a Ford GT. A Ford GT. This is a crossover SUV, not a hypercar, Ford. Come on, what are you guys doing? So Ford actually have kept the engine selection pretty simple. Yes, believe it or not, they have. And that is using their award-winning 1 litre 3-cylinder EcoBoost petrol engine. And yeah, it's not award-winning for nothing because I can personally tell you this is an absolute peach of an engine. Very small, very punchy. Yeah, it is absolutely mega. And in the Puma, you can only get 2 different power variants. Of course, you get the 125 PS and the 155, which is tested today. And you can either get that in a 6-speed manual gearbox or a 7-speed automatic gearbox, which is a little bit strange because you can only get the 7-speed auto in the 125 version, not the 155. Yeah. And to kick it off even more, Ford have fitted this with a mild hybrid system. I think the most pointless thing in the world, because not only can you not drive the car in electric mode only, you don't notice anything other than it gives you some sort of fuel economy advantage. and just helps the car get pushed a little bit smoother in the lower rev range. Yeah, and another kick in the teeth, Ford only offered the mild hybrid system, yes, in a 6-speed manual gearbox. Oh, this is just getting more and more confusing and pointless as the video goes on.
Although the Puma offers limited engine choice, it still has the upper hand compared to its rivals. The Nissan Juke only offers a 117 PS 3-cylinder turbocharged unit, whereas the Volkswagen T-Cross shares a similar choice like the Puma, offering either a 110 or 150 PS configuration at a higher premium.
The Puma continues its no F's attitude when it comes to the interior because I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm sitting in a Ford Fiesta. Yes, it is. And you can't argue with me, guys. You can't. And when you put that into context, comparing an ST line Fiesta to this, you're paying over £3,000 more. And what kicks it in the teeth even more when you compare it to a Nissan Juke, yes, I know those words come out my mouth, the interior is not only nicer, it's a hell of a lot cheaper too. But I know we've addressed that elephant in the room. I have to say that the interior is lovely. It is really nice. And I've sat in many Fords before, and the interior has always cried out for an upgrade, and Ford have done it. Not only is everything easy to access, a lot of the stuff is nice to touch as well. You've got some nice soft materials. Of course, you have some hard stuff as well, but you're not going to get away with that with the class of car this is. And you've got some good storage in here as well. Really is. It's quite practical in the front. Not only have you got 3 different size cup holders in the front, you've also got nice storage in this center console, which I can't get open. Oh, there we go. So yeah, it goes quite deep, so you can store 2 in there. As I said, you've got your phone charging area in the center console as well, and I've got an S10, and the S10 fits very snug in there. It's a big phone. You've also got fairly decent sized door bins, and of course you've got an average sized glove box. Who on earth reviews glove boxes anymore? What relevance does that have to a car review? But for the sake of the video, there you go, the glove box. Sitting in the back of the Puma for me is a lovely place to be. I've got plenty of headroom and leg room to suit. Of course, I've moved this seat forward for filming purposes, but because I'm a midget, I have no complaints. However, for the taller people, the vertically challenged, I think they're going to struggle in the back of this thing because, as I mentioned earlier, this rear roof section that slopes down, yeah, is going to cause difficulty, especially with this optional panoramic roof, yeah, which I actually like and would opt if I was to buy one of these things because it lets in so much natural light and helps, especially because all this car is filled with is black headlining, yeah, which makes it very dark in here. Another complaint I have is the fact that Ford have put in a 3-seat configuration in here. You can just about probably get kids in here, let alone trying to squeeze 3 adults in the back of this thing. And that is what I still don't understand about crossover SUVs, because this is basically a full Fiesta on stilts. So you're still getting the unpracticalness of a Fiesta in the back, but just in a crossover SUV. Yeah, I really don't get the concept. Really don't. Stop doing it. Why haven't we got a sport coupe Puma? Ugh. Is the lack of practicality evident in the boot as well? No, funny enough, it's not, because this boot capacity is 456 litres. Yes, a whopping 1 litre more than the Volkswagen T-Cross. Yes, Ford, you've done something well. Give yourself a pat on the back. And also, they've squared off the boot, so it allows you to get more stuff in and fit it neater, so you're not having it roll around in the cabin. Of course, also, the boot has a very minimal lip, so at least when you're getting heavier items out, such as luggage, you can pull in and out quite easily. The Puma has a 60/40 seat configuration. Unfortunately, you can't go skiing because there is no free load system, unfortunately, guys. However, when you do fold the seats, yes, there is a slight dip, but fortunately enough, it still allows you to move things very easily within the boot to the rear. The functionality doesn't end there. Not only do you get a 12-volt socket to charge up your phone or any other items of equipment, such as my camera gear, for example, you also have lots of hooks and tie-down points. So at least if you're carrying heavier stuff or even you're shopping, these 150 horses won't throw it all around.
So, before I move on, there is actually something else to talk about the boot, because Ford have actually given us another 80 litres. Yes, another 80 litres in the boot. Now, you may be asking, where is this 80 litres, Chris? Well, it's actually hidden underneath the boot floor, and Ford have actually given this area a name, and it's called the Mega Box. Yeah, pretty original, but this thing is truly, truly mega, if you ask me, because I've never seen anything like it in a car, and I have to say it is truly, truly a masterpiece. Now, you can probably see me in the footage now pointing in the top right hand corner asking you to go and watch something, because I claimed that I was going to be washing my dog in the boot, but unfortunately time wasn't on my side. Instead, I had to can the idea and do this voiceover. But if you ask me, yeah, Ford have done a mega job on this.
Now, being a modern car, you've got to have some optional extras. Now, thankfully, Ford haven't actually gone gung-ho like Audi or Porsche or any other German manufacturer. Instead, they've actually kept the options list to a minimal, which usually Ford do. And there's no exception with the Puma. Now, this being an ST Line X, is pretty much the cream of the crop in terms of trim level, apart from obviously the Vignale model. But the one that sticks out for me the most that's been opted on this car is the driver assist pack. Now, that mainly is safety tech. Well, it all is safety tech. And I've driven a few cars with safety tech, and I have to say, Ford have managed to smash it when it comes to the ease of use and, yeah, it working actually, because believe it or not, a lot of the cars I've been in tend to be quite temperamental, especially those speed warning signs. This actually does it really well. It's actually pretty quick to change the speed limit from an A road back into a B road, for example. It's actually really, really good. I'm impressed with it. But personally, yeah, I'll take it or leave it. I really would. The stuff consists of blind spot assist, so it has little lasers in the side of the car somewhere, which allows you to allows the car to see your blind spot where you wouldn't see unless you just turned your neck and found your blind spot. And then, of course, as I said, it's got invasive steering. So that basically, apparently, is meant to save a pedestrian's life if they went out in front of the Puma, which is a bit weird because you'd see the thing coming towards you with that grieving big smile. And then you've got the reversing camera, which again is, yeah, a nice bit of tech to have. But yeah, I've been managing to park cars for the last 10 years without a camera, so why would I need one now? So yeah, I'd personally take the driver assist pack with a pinch of salt, to be fair. But what I like more about the Ford is they've actually, considering that this is £3 more than the Fiesta, I know I mentioned that earlier, they have priced this very well. And of course, with the 4 trim levels, give or take, they're around £1,000 between them. So yeah, not too bad. So Ford have cheekily managed to yeah, finesse people into probably more likely buying the ST line other than anything else. And to be fair, like the Fiesta ST, they now just sell the ST3 instead of ST1, ST2, because the price just made sense just to go for the ST3. And of course, that is helped by Ford's very competitive financial offers. So if you're 1,000% sure that you want to buy a Puma, Ford have got your back. They definitely have, and I have to give them a big thumbs up for that. So, being a Ford Fiesta at heart, the Puma feels like a Ford Fiesta when you're driving it too, which is a breath of fresh air because the Fiesta, the current one in fact, drives like a dream. Of course, the one big thing that I don't miss is this electric steering rack. It is absolutely terrible. And I got quite a lot of slack on the Fiesta video because a lot of people seem to think that the Fiesta steering was fine. And yeah, it was quite humorous to comment back to the guys that obviously shared their faults. And yeah, it was a bit of an amusing time on the channel. Of course, you can go and check that video out for yourself and share your feedback also. But yeah, no, the steering is terrible, and I think it's even worse in the Puma. Of course, this car is aimed towards town driving, so it will be absolutely perfect for that. The turning circle in this is actually phenomenal for not a big car, but a car of this size. But as for driving, this is fitted with a stiffer suspension. It's not actually lower than any of the other ranges. They all stay at the same height, but in the ST line, the stiffer suspension comes into play. Now, everyday driving, I have been driving this for a few days now, it is on the firm side, which for this sort of car I probably disagree on. It's, as I said, a family car, so you want it to be a little bit more supple on the road. Of course, on B roads, it does soak up the corners pretty well. Of course, it doesn't handle as well as a Fiesta. It feels like a Fiesta, but doesn't handle as well. It's sort of like dialed back a bit, more so because of the body roll. But to be fair, what can you expect? This is, as I said, a crossover SUV, so it's never going to be as characteristically good as a Fiesta. The thing that helps save the Puma a little bit more, of course, is the engine, as we spoke about briefly earlier. Now, most of the other rivals like Nissan Juke, their engines are quite pitiful. I think the top range Juke engines only got around 117 brake horsepower, which, yeah, is pretty petty considering this has got 155 brake horsepower. Of course, you can opt for the 125 version, but personally, if I was buying this, I would go for the latter. Now, yeah, the engine is absolutely mega, and of course, as I've said before, I drove the Fiesta ST line a few months back, and I was blown away by it. And I've had other encounters with the 1 litre EcoBoost, and I can't believe people still badmouth and talk nonsense about these engines, because they have actually been around for quite a long time now, and Ford have just been tinkering with the way its reliability side of things, and yeah, they continue to smash it out of the park, and no wonder why, because this is a multi award-winning engine. And yeah, the fact that it's carrying this sort of car is mind-boggling, really, because of course it's going to weigh a lot more than a Fiesta. And yeah, I'm really surprised still how smooth it is to drive, how it pulls throughout the rev range. And yeah, you wouldn't even actually think this is a 3-cylinder. That's how good this engine really is. And to be fair, I don't miss any of the naturally aspirated engines that came before it, because this just blows it out the park. It really does. As for performance, yeah, you kind of think nothing of it really, because performance isn't really where the Puma should be. Ironically, you would think that, because beforehand, when the Sport Coupe was out, that was what it was all about, the performance, whereas in this, it's kind of an afterthought. But Ford say that this will do 0 to 62 in 8.9 seconds, which, to be fair, isn't too shabby. It's not too fast and it's not too slow. Yeah, what more could you want? And as I said, the target audience of this car, yeah, they're not looking to go fast in there, I can assure you. And to be fair, me driving it now on this A road, it doesn't really promote me to want to go fast. It's more of a nicer drive, driving in the comforts of the speed limits. Of course, you've got the break between if you wanted to go on a B road and you happen to be a petrol head like me sitting in this car, but the difference is I don't own it, then you can have some fun in the twisties. Of course, as I mentioned earlier again, this car is fitted with a mild hybrid system. Now, I'm not going to talk about it too much because personally, as you can tell, I'm not too interested in it. But for the sake of this review, I will divulge you guys. Now, the mild hybrid system doesn't actually allow you to drive this car in full electric mode. Yeah, pretty crazy, I know. Instead, all it does is just support the internal combustion engine. But to be fair, when I say support, I say that very loosely, because all it does is provide regenerative braking when you lift off the throttle, which is quite disconcerting that sometimes, especially for me because I'm not used to it, and just helps with fuel economy and just helps allow the engine just to pull a little bit smoother in the lower range. It actually tells you on the dash when it's using the mild hybrid and then when it's charging up the generator as such. So when you lift off the throttle, it charges it, and then when you get to around 2000 RPM, that's when the generator starts and just helps the engine along. Do you notice it? No, not really, apart from the braking side of things. No, you don't notice that you've got a mild hybrid in the car, and that just cements my reasoning behind why I disagree with it, because the motorist is just getting penalised for it and not really getting any gain out of it. I'm sure in more performance orientated cars it does help a lot more, but in something like this, yeah, take it or leave it. And of course you can spec a mild hybrid system Puma, well, without one, if you fancied it and had that same view as me. But yeah, I just happen to have the mild hybrid system in this very car. Now, something that I mentioned in the Fiesta video was the lack of interaction with the driver. So, i.e. I did say about driving modes. Now in the Fiesta you only had an eco button to select, so basically it did what it said on a tin, provided you with a little bit more of a fuel, it provided you with a little bit more of a fuel economy run type of drive. So obviously dialed off the throttle, made it very lazy, and had the mind of saving you fuel over your trip. Now in this car, thankfully, there are some driving modes which I'm going to talk to you about now. The Puma provides you with 4 different drive modes, all easily accessible via the drive select button. Cycle through to find your suitable preference. Normal mode provides a neutral approach, using all other 3 drive modes to provide you with a balanced drive for everyday use. Eco mode cuts back your throttle response to help aid fuel economy to stretch your fuel range for longer journeys. Sport mode does the opposite. It provides a sharper throttle with heavier steering feel for a more dynamic drive, or to make you feel less sorry for yourself that you drive a crossover SUV and not a sports coupe. Slippery mode focuses on optimizing traction control for icy conditions. And lastly, trail mode weirdly copies slippery mode by adapting both ESC and traction settings for more grip. So Ford say that the Puma will do 50.4 to the gallon on a combined run using the WLTP cycle. For me, I've not been getting anywhere near that, but to be fair, looking at the trip computer, I have been getting around 46 to the gallon, which isn't too far off. But it begs the question, because this car has a mild hybrid system in it, so you'd think that the car would be able to blitz 50 to the gallon easy. And as I said earlier, it just shows you that the mild hybrid system isn't as much good as it says it is. And yeah, why should we have to pay extra for that just to keep those EU emission lawmakers happy? Really? But with all respect to Ford, I've been driving the car for the last few days everywhere, whether it's in town, on a motorway, on an A road or a B road. So yeah, I've been driving it to what I would do on a day-to-day basis, whereas the target audience for this car will more likely be in-town driving only, well, predominantly anyway. So I'd imagine that you'd be able to get more nearer to Ford's claimed MPG figure. Now, coupled with that, of course, when you're in the town, this car has obviously got electric steering like most modern cars. So turning circles and getting lost is going to be a doddle when you need to turn around, because yeah, this does it actually pretty well for the size of the car. And as much as I'm bringing this video to you guys as a petrol head, not agreeing, to be fair, with what they've done with the Puma, I can see it being a very big success. Of course, I see many of these on the road already, and the fact that we've had the big pandemic and the car hasn't actually been out that long, I have seen a large amount already. And yeah, I'm not really that surprised, to be fair, because statistics show that a lot more people want SUVs or SUV type cars over estate cars, saloon cars, or even hatchbacks, which for me is mind-boggling. It really is, because you're paying a lot more money for a car that you could get that handles better, is probably better on fuel, and just generally a better car to drive. And people still choose cars like the Puma over them. It's really surprising. It's quite a backwards approach of how people think, but hey, Ford have managed to market their way into it, and they're doing pretty well in considering. Of course, yeah, we can gloss over the EcoSport and the Edge, but yeah, this definitely is a lot better car. Would I buy one? No, I still wouldn't, because as I said, I would rather go and buy a Fiesta for £3 cheaper, and I'd actually enjoy it a lot more. And it being just as practical as this. Yeah, okay, you've got a bigger boot in the Puma, but yeah, it's not much bigger. It's not like a considerable amount. And yeah, and walk away with £3 still in your pocket. It's a no-brainer. Even with the financial offers that Ford are currently offering at the minute, or offer in general. It's still a no-brainer to go and get something like a Fiesta, or even a Focus in that sense, because yeah, you're getting a lot more car for the money. And yes, I know the Puma looks cool and it's going to have street cred over a Fiesta because it's out there. It's the looks are completely different to anything else on the road. And of course, with the paintwork that I have at the minute, which is called grey matter, it just, yeah, makes the car stick out even more. That's definitely how Ford are going to sell these cars, because they're different. They are. Everyone's too used to seeing Ford Fiestas on the road, whereas there isn't enough of these on the road. And at least it's actually got some looks, unlike its yeah, younger brother or cousin, or however you want to call it, the EcoSport. I just can't understand why that's still on sale. And I've had a few friends that obviously do car reviews as well say how woeful the EcoSport really is. Like, it's not just me saying it. And yeah, it's crazy to think that why don't they just call this an EcoSport and yeah, bring us a proper Puma? Because when they announced it, teasing that they're bringing a Puma out, I was absolutely over the moon, thinking that they're going to bring back a coupe to the market. And there we go, we're in a crossover SUV. It's crazy. The world has gone mad. So guys, my verdict on the new Ford Puma. Now, personally, the Puma isn't for me, but of course, I'm not an SUV type of guy. Personally, I prefer hatchbacks. And that brings me on to the question, in fact, of why would you buy this Puma? Because of course it's based on a Fiesta. So why wouldn't you just have the Fiesta? Save money, get a better handling car, and the list goes on. But also, as an unbiased point of view, I can see that the Puma is going to be very successful in this current day and age, because the SUV market is booming and it's continuing to do so. With the help of the mild hybrid system, it's only just getting future-proofed. So, but I'm just still disappointed, because this is called a Puma, and I think the fact that it is called a Puma outshines anything good about this car, in my opinion. And it's a real big shame, because they could have just replaced this and called it the EcoSport, and then brought us a sporty coupe that we all remember in the shape of a Puma. But they haven't. Instead, Ford have done it again, where they're keeping the accountant department happy and not us, the people with the money, buying cars. But hey, that's one opinion against the world. And of course, that's my honest opinion. But nonetheless, thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Yes, I know I've been a bit brutal, but as I said, I'm being honest. If you've liked this video, please leave it a thumbs up. Please also leave your comments on what you think of the Puma. And lastly, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. We're trying to get to that big 1K, and I need your guys' help. But until next time, take care. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.